Here are the tests on my 1991 Kohler San Raphael. It is set to the water line on the original flush valve and using a standard flapper, and it is actually using the correct fill valve, so it is going to flush how Kohler intended it to flush. So it's kind of a weird design. Basically, when you flush it, all the water goes out of that flush valve and through this little hole right here. None of it goes to the rim. And then when the fill valve comes on, it shoots water out this clear tube which feeds the rim. And as you can see, that clear tube is not very big, which is why this toilet has absolutely terrible bowl rinse. So anyway, I'll show you guys a flush, and then let's see how it does on tests. The flush on this toilet is very slow, it's very weak, and it's very ineffective, but it's also very interesting. So I think tests on this toilet will also be interesting. One thing to note is that there is some mineral buildup in the trapway, which is not surprising considering that flush. I did my best to remove it, but I know there's still some left, so that is probably going to affect the performance a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and add some water to the bowl, and then let's see if it can take a washcloth. Considering how the Rochelle did, I'm not positive that it will pass, but I kind of think it will. It did perfectly. At least they've improved the design a little bit. Now let's see if it can take a grocery bag. I do not think it will pass because the grocery bag will likely just float on the surface and then get stuck in the opening as the water siphons. But let's see. That did horribly. That did really, really horribly. And I think that the flapper is still open. No, it's not. It's just draining from the sides. So I was not really expecting any different result, but I am going to pull it out. And now that it's slightly more waterlogged, I'm going to give it another flush and see if I can have a better outcome than the first one. So it's about full right now. Let's see if it can take that bag. Very, very pathetic. At least it went through, but it struggled big time, and it definitely failed that test. Now, let's see if it can take the washcloth and the grocery bag together. This is going to fail miserably. Yeah, it's definitely clogged, and I don't think any number of flushes could get it to go through. One thing that's interesting about the lowboy design is that it is actually impossible to overflow. So the only way that it would be possible is if the fill valve didn't shut off and it clogged at the same time, then it might overflow. But the water line in the toilet tank where the fill valve shuts off is right about here. So it wouldn't even go past the rim even if it was fully clogged. So I guess let's see if it can take it from there. So right now the flapper is stuck open and the fill valve is filling the tank and the bowl because the water in the bowl is at the same level as the water in the tank. So it's just going to fill like this until the water level gets up to here, and then it will shut off. So I'm going to save the weight and just unclog it. I didn't have to pull the washcloth and the grocery bag out, which means that this toilet has a decent sized trapway, and that's a good thing, but it still failed that pretty badly. So now let's see if it can take a dish towel. It is 100% going to fail miserably. Failed, yes, but miserably, I don't really think it failed miserably on that. It got it in the trapway. And the trapway actually seems large enough that it could pass. So I'm gonna flush it again and let it fill the bowl up, and then I'm gonna plunge it, and I think it will actually go through. That's honestly impressive, because most toilets, most newer toilets at least, or toilets made from the time of this one, can't even fit that thing through the trapway, which means that this toilet does have a pretty big trapway, which we saw with the washcloth and grocery bag, and that if they designed it a little better, it probably could have been a good toilet. So now for the big reveal. Let's try a dirt test. First, I'm going to add some water to the bowl because it's going to need it. And the bowl rinse is so bad that I actually have to get the sides wet so that the dirt will stick, because the rinse has not been reaching the sides for the previous part of the video. So this looks like a good amount of dirt. Let's see if it'll pass. Cross your fingers. Well, I can't say I'm surprised. Would you look at that? And then look in there too. Of all the toilets that I have tested, new and old, since 2019, this takes first place at the worst flush I have ever seen in my life. So now I am going to flush it again and see how badly it does, removing the rest of it. The bowl clearance seems okay. The issue is the rinse. which doesn't exist. So I'm going to manually wash that off the sides, and then I'm going to try a third flush and see how much of that it takes. This is pathetic. I'm having to do the toilet's job for it, and that should not happen. I've seen glacier bays with better flushes than this. Actually, all glacier bays have better flushes than this, and I'm willing to fight that. That's a hill I'm willing to die on, that glacier bay toilets have better flushes than these Kohler San Raphaels. So now let's see if it can pass the rest of that. The whole time through the flush, there was just sand sitting right there. It didn't even have enough power to remove that. So I'm going to get this toilet tidied up, since it clearly can't do that by itself. And then I'm going to try a dye test to see if it will actually remove waste despite having terrible bowl rinse. So let's add some blue dye to the water and see if this toilet can even function as a urinal. It seems to have pretty decent performance, but the flush is just terrible. So I'm going to stir this up a little bit. And now let's see if it can pass. Unsurprisingly, the water is still blue. That means that if you use that toilet, it is leaving a little bit of that in the toilet every single time. So if it looks like the water is clean, it isn't. And so this toilet is not doing its job. Once that tank fills up, I'm going to give it another flush, and then I'm going to wrap this up. And also at the end, there's going to be a little bonus, so stay for that. So in 2 flushes with 7 gallons of water, it can do what most other toilets can do with 1 flush and much less water. So anyway, that is almost all for this video. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps my channel a lot and I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video. So now I'm going to show you what this looks like when it clogs. I'm going to purposely clog it, and then I'm going to flush it. So since there is a passage like this that allows water from the bowl to enter the tank, or to re-enter the tank, it is keeping a level, I guess, with the water in the bowl. So as you can see, the flapper is actually rising a little bit because the water in the tank is getting higher and the water in the bowl is getting higher, and they are not able to drain. So then it will never overflow because the fill valve is going to shut off at the normal line, and like I mentioned before, the normal line is below the level of the rim. Watch this. So it is no longer filling. The flapper is stuck open, and the water is not going to overflow. See, unless the fill valve does not shut off, it is impossible to overflow a San Raphael. So now I might as well show you the first ever overflowing Kohler San Raphael on YouTube. I'm going to do a time lapse of this since it's not worth waiting through, but here we go. And there we have it. The Kohler San Raphael overflows.